Hello patrons and welcome to the Patron Show for April 2019. Spring has finally hit Ireland. It's green outside, the days are warmer, they're not quite warm yet. And I've got family in town. I've got a makeshift bed set up here for my nieces, so that's why I'm doing this at my standing desk, which has been something I did to sort of help me be more efficient and combat that seasonal affective nonsense, and generally try and work better. And I've been working better and doing more exercise and feeling good, and there's a lot going on. I've been reading a bunch of books and getting a bunch of crazy ideas in my head about what we should do with this no-clip thing. So I've got a lot to talk to you about, not just about sort of what I mentioned in that video before, and thank you for all the feedback. That's certainly changed my perspective on a lot of this, but also what we did at GDC, a big update on all the Hades stuff, what's coming out over the next couple of months for that, sort of a reshuffle of our tiers that's coming up, plans for the summer, and E3 and all this other stuff. So let's get into it. First of all, the YouTube channel, I just want to do a quick little update on how we're doing on YouTube. We're doing really good on YouTube. We have 400,000 subscribers now, over that, 405 I think, which was a pretty cool landmark, and sort of sets us up for trying to hit 500,000 before the end of year 2, which has been a goal of mine. I'm pretty confident we will. We've got some cool projects coming in the summer which I think are going to drive a bunch of new subs. But apart from that, there was a bunch of tests done over the past couple of months in terms of the videos we were making to try and see if we could do stuff that was a bit more economical or shorter production time frame that would be interesting to people, and they've all kind of been really successful. The Astro Near Doc was, produced pretty quick. We filmed it in over the course of 2 days, and then I edited it like pretty fast. It was a very important story, and I think it touched people, and people were sort of within the industry, I know, we're sharing it around and that. But it was kind of done from a passion project type of thing. Like I just kind of wanted to do it, but it's almost done like 300,000 views. And I know it's not about the numbers game, but what's interesting to me now is the docs that we did, if we did that doc 2 years ago, it might not have reached that. It feels like everything we do now has a certain momentum behind it, based off of, I guess, the just embedded subscription community we have there, subscribers that sort of watch everything we do and signal boost it. So it's been really cool. The other thing that was very successful was the Mortal Kombat trip, which myself and Esteban did last minute. Produced a bunch of short form videos that we thought would be interesting, and they've combined done about 250,000 on their own as well. In fact, everything we produce keeps getting more views. I have this notifications thing set up on the NoClip email account that pings me every time we get a comment on something, so I can see what's getting watched, and I have a look at the analytics as well. And every morning I wake up now and there's like 20 different threads of different videos, everything from like our Witcher PAX panel to a bunch of people watching Witcher videos today, to the Rocket League doc. So everything just keeps getting more views, and I forget what the last time I did like this is how well we're doing in terms of views, but right now we have like multiple videos that are over 1 million views, and our cumulative total views is just almost at 18 million now. So it's really cool. Everything we make keeps getting more people watching it and more subs, and just from my perspective, sometimes it feels like, oh, there's like not a lot hitting the channel, and there's not that much happening. But all the time, people are watching no-clip stuff. Like right now, there's like hundreds, maybe thousands of people watching a no-clip documentary, and that's amazing. I'm really excited by that. Just this library of work that we've created. So thank you so much again for supporting our work. And just wanted to give you an update on sort of the general health of YouTube.
I'm Rami Ismail.
My name is Raphael Van Leer.
My name is Chandana Kanayaka.
I'm Mustafa Tiwal.
My name is Lisette Teacher Montgomery, and I'm an art director at Double Fine.
My name is Tina Sanchez, and I work at Respawn as a producer on Apex Legends.
My name is, well, that's creepy though, right? I should look at you.
I'm Megan Fropenesh, I work at The Verge.
My name is Justin Ma. I'm half of Subset Games.
And I'm Matthew Davis, the other half.
I'm Caroline Liddick.
My name is Emily Grace Buck.
My name is Paul Mastriani.
My name is Ken Udall, and I used to work at Telltale Games.
Telltale Games.
Telltale Games.
Telltale.
My name's Emma Kanema. I am a labor organizer with Game Workers Unite, which is an international grassroots organization dedicated to unionizing the games industry.
I'm Brian Matsuda. I'm the narrative lead at Hardsuit Labs.
So my name is Tarn Adams, and I'm making a game called Dwarf Fortress with my brother Zach.
Okay, GDC. So we filmed a bunch of stuff at GDC. You've probably seen the trailer already. We did 15 projects coming out of it. We did like 20 interviews, 14 smaller projects, one large one, the large one being Telltale. 2 of them have already come out. Our sort of interview about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, which again has done really good numbers, like over 100,000 I think. Our interview on with Chandana Ekanaika, aka Eka, about colonialism and Falcon Age. And then we have, there's a bunch I'm working on at the moment, and I'm basically just, I'm taking feedback on what ones you would like to see. I put up a post already on Patreon, and I've basically like taken all the data out of that, and sort of I have a pretty good idea of the ones people are interested in. I also just want to, mix up interesting ones in there. I don't want to put like all the most popular ones up front, because then the tail end of it won't be as compelling maybe, and I want to keep people, especially our sort of general YouTube audience, engaged in that series. But any feedback you have on stuff you'd like to see in the next sort of cycle of them, I'd be really interested to know. It's a fun process for me because I'm editing multiple ones. If I'm finding I'm getting slowed down on one of them, then I'm jumping onto another project. So what I kind of think is going to happen is I'm focusing on the Telltale project now, which is, sorry, squirrels are going crazy outside. The Telltale project, which isn't really one of those, like Jeremy went off and filmed a bunch of extra stuff and went to their old office and filmed around the Bay Area for that. Like, we're throwing a lot more production effort behind that one. It's not going to really look in the same style as the GDC ones, but I'm focusing on that at the moment. And then in terms of the GDC stuff, the 3 that I've sort of I'm focusing on at the moment is the Tarn Adams Dwarf Fortress one, which is kind of like maybe 30% edited. Tina Sanchez talking about Apex Legends and designing characters for that. And then Subset Games, which is all about FTL and Into the Breach. So those are the ones that I kind of see coming in May. So if those are interesting, let me know. And if there's another one you want, let me know instead. And that's pretty much our GDC stuff. We also had behind the scenes doc all about that, which Esteban Martinez, thank you Esteban, edited over the course of the entire week, and it was really cool because it's very fly on the wall-y. There's parts where we're talking to the camera, but a lot of it is just like snippets of conversations that were happening before and after interviews. So it kind of, I think, gives you the most authentic look at how we, how we're working in the moment when we're filming these docs. It's almost 40 minutes long. It's available to watch right now if you're a patron in the $5 tier, which you are, because you're watching this. Thanks! So we put up a post to say, get well soon, and it got more comments than any post we've ever had.
Oh my god.
So I had to get a really big card to fit them all on it.
Oh my god, this is amazing. Thank you. Thank you to you and also to anyone out there who contributed this. This is amazing.
Another thing to thank you for is Jeremy's card. Thank you so much for signing it in the comments last month. If you missed it already, there'll be a link in the video or in the description of this guy for the video where we gave Jeremy the card, and he was very touched by it. I've heard his foot is doing a lot better, and he is busy working on Hades stuff. So let's talk about Hades stuff. We're at the Game Developers Conference last month, and the thing that everyone was talking to me about was Developing Hell, which is awesome. That series is one of the proudest things I think I've ever made, in collaboration, of course, with Jeremy, who's doing an incredible job of producing it on the West Coast. It's a fun thing to put together. It's fun getting all the tasty video ingredients from Jeremy and editing them, and collaborating with him on it has been a lot of fun. What's also cool is that every time they push an update, we see a tick up in views. Every time we put a video up, we see a tick up in the previous episode. We're as you know, we're doing it throughout this year and into next year, and whenever they release the game is basically when we're probably going to stop doing that series. Although who knows? I don't know. It's such a fun process where we'll see what happens. But the current plan for sure is to stop whenever the game comes out, whenever that is. But a couple of things to let you know, just in terms of what's coming and what already happened. The behind the scenes for episode 2 has gone up. It went up on a flurry of other activities, so you may have missed it. I'll put the link in the description to the Patreon post. So sorry, I say behind the scenes, I meant deleted scenes for episode 2. We have episode 3 coming up next month. The focus of it is different to a lot of the other ones. We're trying to mix it up for each episode, and it's very much based on feedback that we got from you folks. So for this one, what we're doing is the sort of day in the life of an artist and a day in the life of the musician or audio director. So Jen and Darren are basically the focus of the next episode. Jeremy is shadowing both of them for some time at the studio. He's also going to be recording some stuff at Darren's house while he's making music. And then we're going to do sit-down interviews with them and their sort of the people they collaborate, which is all about the next update and the focus of the next update, which is something really, really big and cool, but very much seen from their eyes. We've had people asking us to do that sort of like very specific job title oriented episodes, and I think this is a really good way of sort of having our cake and eating it, especially as we're embedded with that studio. And now that Jeremy's been working with them for a couple of months, they're a lot more comfortable around him. Oh, and one more thing about that, Jeremy recorded something extra the last time he was in, which was a Patron Q&A with Supergiant, which you may remember typing in questions for a while back, maybe 6 weeks back. That's finished. It's coming out like in the next couple of days, like early next week, I think I'm gonna do it. But it's finished, and it's like a fun 6-minute video with a bunch of Q&As, questions and answers. And one of them is, if you could describe Supergiant as a sandwich, what would it be? Which had some interesting answers and some comically uninteresting answers. That's gonna go up, like I said, publicly on YouTube. It's a way of getting more people in the door, maybe on the Hades stuff. And also I thought it'd be like a fun idea to produce something in between the big beats of the episodes, because the episodes kind of land hard. So whenever we don't have one then for the 6 to 8 weeks afterwards, it can feel like, I want more Supergiant stuff. So this is a way of kind of something in the middle while you wait for episode 3.
I think the most upsetting answer I can come up with is that we would be a hot dog.
All right, let's talk about tiers, reshuffling tiers. So, NoClip 2.0, as you know, we launched back in, I believe it was October of last year, which helped us get a little bump of patronage. We used that to start the Hades production and to do stuff like our Unforeseen Consequences, the Half-Life doc, which is PS has done over 1 million on its own as well, which is awesome. The sort of patron growth we had definitely tapered off, and we're kind of back to where we were maybe during the summer, or maybe this time last year before we did the Bethesda stuff. So I basically been like thinking about the ways in which we can get more of our subs to be patrons, the ways in which we can make a better patron experience for you folks. I did a poll back in, I think it was January, asking, how satisfied people are as patrons. I have a pretty good sense of the ways in which we're doing good work and the ways in which I'm falling short. I think from the looks of it, I think people are generally happy with the $3 tier. It's kind of like you get updates and access to the Discord, and that's fun. There are some people who wish there was a $1 thing, but like it seems to be a very, very vocal minority, or not very vocal, but very much a minority. The $5 tier people seem super happy with, especially after the last post. I guess we do make a lot of stuff for the $5 tier. To me, I'm not, I compare us with like stupidly, I probably compare us with like a Netflix or something, and it's like we're not making movies. But I guess people in that tier, and generally most patrons, are chipping in because they believe in the mission, not because of the rewards. But it does seem like those of you who are in the $5 tier for the rewards are pretty satisfied as well. It seems to be the case for the $10 tier as well. We've had a lot of early access stuff. We've had a lot of videos going up, more than we did, the 6 months ago or a year ago. There's just more videos. This GDC thing, just shows that that's going to continue. So the $10 tier has been incredibly popular as we sort of extended the lengths of those early access things as well. I mean, I think one or two of those, I think the Bloodlines video people had for like 4 days before it went public, and the Mortal Kombat stuff as well. We got up pretty early, so I'm going to continue doing that. The $20 tier, the staff parties, there's one coming up Monday the 29th. I'm going to do it, which is basically when I just play video games all day. And the chat is open and people can hop in and ask questions and just hang out. I like that because it gives me a break, a mental health break. To me, it's something we can expand upon in the future. I've got some big changes coming in the next next 6 months. So that's a lot of the stuff I'm setting up now is going to be stuff that we can really will make more sense maybe in like half a year's time. So Monday the 29th is the next No Clip staff party. I'm going to be playing a lot of Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, which I'm adoring, and also Mortal Kombat 11 will be out by then and not under embargo anymore. We can play it and talk about it and stuff. So that's the $20 tier, and then the $30 tier, the credits. We've definitely seen a fall off on that. I wonder if the more videos we're making makes them feel less special or something, or maybe it's the format. I did a format change a while back where instead of scrolling, it went to 3 sort of chunk blocks of people's names, which made it so that their names were on screen longer, but maybe made it feel less special. You know what I mean? Like it didn't have like its center point during the animation. So I'm going to reconsider how we're producing that part as well. Generally the end slates of the videos and stuff like that. So that's where it is now. So why reshuffle them? I guess there's an element of, just trying to not stay still, to try and, do different interesting things. One of the, key things that Patron will tell you about if you're trying to like instill more growth in your Patron to get more patrons on board, a reshuffle of the tiers is a really good way of hitting reset basically for people, so they can come in and it gets people talking about what you're doing. So what I proposed a couple of weeks ago was making more patron only content, and what I was like really surprised and like touched by was the fact that practically everyone said, oh no, don't do that, don't make patron only stuff. Like, I support this because I'm able to, and I like the idea that this is publicly available to everyone. And I was never going to consider putting the docs behind a paywall, but it was interesting how, even talking about doing stuff like the extended interviews behind a paywall or doing patron only shows, that was the big one. Patron only interviews, that was the big one. I think folks were kind of like, oh no, don't do that, or do it for like a 3 months exclusivity, or there's some patron only stuff that works, but like not anything substantive like the stuff I was talking about in terms of doing press interviews and stuff like that. So that's been really interesting hearing that. The conundrum I'm in has been that I need to do something to get other people through the door. They could be that I'm just doing a really bad job of asking. We tend to not really put many signals to our Patreon in the doc until the credits, because I don't want the videos are ad free, and I don't want ads for No Clip. I sort of think about ads for No Clip in that as well. So if the stinger, for instance, at the start, that like came up and said like patreon.com/noclip or something, that would feel like too gross to me. There are other ways of doing it, like I've been putting it in higher in the description, I've been putting it in the top comment on YouTube, stuff like that. I think ultimately one thing I could do, which I've not been doing, is doing community updates for YouTube, where I talk about what's coming, what we did, the state of the channel, and also kind of I don't know, like give them ideas about what stuff is behind the paywall, like, you know, the Patron show, Q&As, the behind the scenes, stuff like that. Oh, my baby just woke up. Hold that thought. I'll be back in a minute. I have to go get my baby. It's a baby monitor, because I don't have enough screens already. Hello again. Several hours have passed, as you may have noticed, from the changing light situation and also the change of clothes. This is actually part of my sort of new work habit here, is I don't start work normally until 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Today's a bit of a weird one, actually. It's not even 1 p.m. at the moment, and earlier it was like pretty early. But just because today's a little bit of a weird day for the family. But normally for the past, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks now, I've been starting work at 1 in the afternoon and taking a break when my baby's going to bed, and then going back to work in the evening. So instead of it just being myself and my wife in the evenings, generally tired, hanging out, vegging out on the sofa together, what we do instead is we have like family morning together, and then like family lunch, and then I go to work. And then in the evenings, you know, she's happy playing video games and getting a relax from minding the kid all day. And then I usually like pop up after a certain while, and we then have like a little bit of couch time together and go to bed. So it's worked out really well, because I felt like I wasn't getting enough sunshine, and especially now that the weather's changed, it's really pleasant. So we just went for a big walk around the park, and they've got some plans now. So that's why I'm coming back to work at right now, but it's cool. It's helping a lot. Anyway, sorry. We were in the middle of stuff. I think I know what was coming up next. I think what was coming up next is what's coming up next. So obviously our GDC interviews are going to be coming out for the next, I'm going to say like 4 or 5 months. Like we're not plowing through them. I'm trying to get like 3 or 4 up every month is kind of where I'm looking at. Yeah, I think some of them are fairly evergreeny, and I'd like to say they'll all be up in the first 2 months, but like I think realistically speaking, they're probably going to take that long. I'm conscious of over-promising, put it that way. One thing I overpromised on, which is coming out very soon though, is our Elder Scrolls Blades documentary. It's not particularly long. It's like probably like the Shelter one. It's like around the 20-minute mark, because a lot of the stuff that was in it is confusing now, because we recorded it almost a year ago, and some of it is like, oh, this is what they were thinking at the time, and it makes sense. But some of the stuff they had in it was like, oh, that like it reads, if you didn't know this was filmed a year ago, which I'm kind of telegraphing in the piece and being like, oh, now it's available, so like let's go back and have a look. But some of it just doesn't really read particularly right. So the focus of it is kind of talking about how the teams collaborate and how the different way they have to design, not just because of the technology for a mobile phone, but also just in terms of game playing styles for mobile phones. It was some pretty interesting stuff. So that's like practically done. I think I've like a little bit of music and stuff to add to it, and that's about it. And I have to capture more gameplay. Capturing on a phone has been a bit of a nightmare. I captured a bunch and then went to review it, and it didn't save because I guess the software I was using recognized the copy protection on the device and just didn't bother. So I've had to like do a workaround, but it was so annoying because it was like so much of the start of the game, but like creating a character and all that. So I've had to like reset it, which is a bit of a bummer. Yeah, so that one's coming. There's other stuff coming though as well. So let's get into that.
And I think initially the combat for Blades was pitched as, well, what if it's kind of like Fruit Ninja, but more, you know, strategic, and you're actually, you know, doing maneuvers, using spells, blocking. But, you know, Todd is very, very interested in how the sword swings and how that feels when you control it with your fingers, how you touch and release, how all that plays. Because to him, if you can't get that basic part down of the sword moving right, this game's not going to be any good. And we've spent so much iteration time on how the sword is controlled and how combat feels more than anything else in the game.
We weren't sure that the Realist look was the right choice. You know, for a long time we, you know, iterated on like, do we go more stylized? Do we go more? We weren't sure how far we would be able to push it on the device. But we're lucky, every year there's new devices that come out and they're more powerful and more powerful. And I think the generation of device we have now are what we needed to be able, what we want to do.
So we have currently got 2 big projects penned for the summertime. I guess 3. I'm going to tell you about the third one, or rather the first. The second and third ones, I'm not going to get into too much detail on it, because I don't like promising stuff and then it doesn't happen, which is what happened with our, this is why, for instance, the January project that we're waiting to go back and do, I'm glad I didn't tell you about, because then everyone would be asking me about it all the time and asking them about it. So that one is still up in the air. I've done my due diligence to try and get it back on track, but nothing's happening at the moment. So hopefully we'll get around to it eventually. But anyway, we have 2 projects that I'm not really going to talk about because it will be pretty obvious probably. One of them is one that people have been asking for a long time, which is I've been trying to make happen for a long time, and hopefully we'll make it happen. The other one is a guest present. I've got some like busy stuff happening at the end of the summertime, life-wise, so I needed kind of similar to the. I'm not having another kid or anything, but similar to the Dream Daddy stuff, where I want to give someone else an opportunity to host, and also I want to cover games that I'm not particularly. I don't know, set up to do that people have been asking for. So we have one of those coming up, and it's abroad. So that's going to be an interesting project that's coming up. But they're kind of the other, and they're kind of like the June, July side of, or I guess July, August kind of side of summer. We are doing another big project in June, and it's one everyone's been asking us to do forever, and we're finally going to do something on E3. The past 2 years I've gone to E3. I have done it as work. I've mostly done meetings. Did the odd appearance on Jeff Keighley's show or Giant Bomb or any of those things. And we've had a couple of people ask us about doing stuff around E3, and some of it seemed interesting enough. But what kept coming up to me was, E3 itself. This year is a really weird year for E3. Sony pulling out and EA having pulled out, and this sort of there's a big change, sort of wind change happening between bigger and smaller publishers and bigger and smaller games at E3 this year, and also just that the change of the media, it mostly being a media showcase in industry, and now we've got consumers coming in as well. So there's a sort of a big change going on, and what I think would be cool to do would be to basically sort of create a snapshot of E3 2019 and to show off as much of it as possible from as many different angles as possible. So I'm still in the works on a lot of this, trying to figure it all out and exactly where our focus will be, but the sort of general pitch is that myself and Jeremy are going to go in, and he's going to shadow me for the whole weekend, and we're going to spend time with different people at different stages. So be it exhibitors or press people, showing off what it's like going to the conference halls, going to the exhibit hall, checking out the press conferences, what it's like in the evening times, where, just like E3 culture stuff that people probably don't know about unless they go to E3. And interviewing a lot of people, basically, talking to people who were there working, talking to press, talking to the people as the stories are unfolding. I want to be in the war room for one of the big sites for some of it, or check in on Giant Bomb, or maybe we can hit up Jason Schreier while he's there, or that type of thing where we just kind of film the whole thing, and then this is kind of this is what E3 is like, and make a documentary just about it, and sort of try and explain the whole thing, and also have all the moments, the live moments, exciting moments that happened at E3 that you'll all know about by the time the thing is out. So that's the idea behind it, that it's kind of like the Half-Life part, the Half-Life doc part that was kind of road trippy. We're going to lean into that it's mostly going to be me showing you what E3 is all about, because this will be my, I don't know now, 6th or 7th E3, I think. 7th maybe, which is crazy. And all I ever want to do is go to E3, and I know a lot of you want to do is go to E3. And the version that you see, I have never seen an authentic version of actually what E3 is like shown anywhere. The closest thing I can come to is the old GameSpot documentaries. What is it? Electric Showdown and Super Pants Party. What is it again? I forget the name. I have it on DVD over here actually. And like they're not like widely seen, and that's an older generation. Whereas I feel like, or an older era. Whereas I feel like a contemporary look at that would be pretty interesting. So that's what we're doing in June. That's our big June thing. And what that's also going to do is kind of signal a bit of a change or an expansion of NoClip's mission a bit, which at the start it was kind of broad, and then we kind of came in, right? It was kind of like about games, culture and development and the press and community and all that sort of stuff. And we kind of definitely refined it down to like, oh, it's about games design and development. And what I want to do is to open that up a little bit more. We haven't done that much community stuff at all really since the Hillbilly Agenda stuff. So I do want to do more of that, but I do feel like the biggest blind spot we've had, and it's the thing people have been asking us to do forever, and it was the thing that I was reticent of doing because it felt a little bit too close to my wheelhouse and maybe a bit like self-referential and like masturbatory or something, I don't know. But that's covering the history and the contemporary world of video games coverage. And I'm really lucky to know a lot of people in the world of games coverage, be it YouTubers or streamers or people in the press or people doing stuff like this on Patreon or creators of all descriptions. So the E3 one is definitely going to like pull in a lot more of those people in the same way that we had Keeley on for the Half-Life doc, because there was a stage where the games press was kind of more of an insular kind of type of work, and it didn't really feel right to talk about it maybe in my brain. But actually the world of like games coverage and talking about games is kind of like this weird creator art form in itself, and it has so many different faces to it, like YouTube and Twitch and influencers and press people, and like even in the press the difference between like me and like Jason Schreier or like Jason and Greg Miller. Like there's just so many different ways to cover this sort of stuff, and there's a lot of interesting things happening in that space, I think, as well, that we can really dive into. And another thing as well is I know a lot of people who watch this stuff are video producers who enjoy this type of work. I know a lot of the people who are watching this stuff are people who want to work in the games press or do work in the games press, and or maybe work in a different aspect of it, or marketing or something, or PR. And I think there's an interest in a lot of that sort of stuff going on. I just got a Reddit or games update saying Game Informer Australia is shutting down. So there you go. Lots of stories happening, good ones and bad ones, all the time. And maybe NoClip can be part of that conversation as well. So yeah, just to summarize before we get into the Q&A, the channel's doing really well, really healthy. We're sort of on track for 500,000 by the end of our second year. That's sort of the idea behind it. The GDC stuff has gone down really well. We're hoping to get Dwarf Fortress, the subset, Tina Sanchez and Telltale done in the next 5-week period. That's kind of what I'm up against at the moment. The behind the scenes is available. The Jeremy Card video is available. For Hades, we have episode 3 coming up at the end of next month. We have a Supergiant Q&A coming in the next couple of days. The episode 2 behind the scenes is available in case you missed that. We are changing the tiers on NoClip and updating them in some way, but I've taken your feedback on what that will look like. I'm moving away from the idea of doing patron only sort of like proper content that way, but there is going to be some stuff that I want to do, like director commentaries, maybe that book review show I talked about, some stuff that's like not like core NoClip mission stuff that I kind of want to do anyway, that I think might be fun and might get more people through the door, which is another important aspect of this. Monday the 29th at the staff party, we're going to play MK11 and Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, maybe some PUBG, I don't know. And then the next couple of months we have 2 projects coming up that I can't talk about. The E3 thing we're working on with a bunch of interesting little sort of insights into how that show comes together, and we're generally going to kind of open our funnel a bit to try and talk more about the press. One thing I did forget to mention actually was that the podcast, it's been really going really well. We have bunches of downloads on iTunes. If you are listening to it there, please rate us. The more ratings the better. We can get up into new and noteworthy. We'll sort of punch through that. But it's doing really well. We're getting like between, you know, around the like 10 to 15,000 mark now for the downloads, and it's growing every episode. So that's pretty cool. The idea of the podcast is to expand that one a lot over the next couple of months. The format will likely change by the end of the year. The idea of a lot of the stuff that I'm putting in place at the moment is that by the end of the year, hopefully it'll make a lot more sense, but I'm building towards a sort of a more current, more like a bigger stable of people helping us out, and having like things like a weekly podcast with, you know, like I said, a stable of people that we can answer emails and talk about development, talk about games coverage and like all of this sort of stuff. The staff party, having that be more of a monthly event for people to like be really excited about every month. Stuff like that is kind of the idea. So there's a lot of chess pieces being put in place, which will make a lot more sense at the other end, you know, probably during the summers when I'll start to like actually let you guys know what's going on. I'm super proud of where we're at the moment. I definitely have like plans to expand upon it and you know, make this thing even better and cooler. But I'm really grateful for all the feedback you're giving me and helping me sort of refine exactly what we need to do to sort of, I don't know, I'm really proud of what we've made. I'm like, it's doing really well. Like, it's been 2.5 years. I'm feeling way more positive, less imposter syndrome-y, and I'm just feeling like confident. And I feel like I'm strapped to a rocket ship, and I just want to like, I want to point it in the right direction is kind of what I feel like. We've all this potential at the moment, and yeah, I hope you're satisfied. And I'm still hungry. I'm not resting on my laurels. I'm still hungry. I want this thing to be, I want it to include more creators and to make more cool stuff, and to be like a really positive voice and change the world of games coverage and maybe games development as well. I don't know. We'll have to see. But yeah, apart from that, let's get to questions and answers.